Tesla is a wild and volatile company to invest in. If you invested at the right time, you might be up a whole bunch. And if you'd have invested a few weeks earlier or later and looked at your snapshot window a little differently, why, it might be a tragedy instead of a comedy, or a comedy for the wrong reasons. Well, I've got my buddy Herbert here. Herbert is the host of Brighter. He's a serial entrepreneur. He is a tech wizard in his own right before getting onto YouTube, and he's got a whole lot of knowledge, and I'm going to dig inside of his head to find out what some of it is, and that's what we're going to discuss. Let's find out what's going to make Tesla investors feel better in these troubled times. I'm Brian. Welcome to Futuraza. So Herbert, I've got some questions for you here. One is, Tesla has seen some wild swings over the years. What advice would you give to new Tesla investors about staying grounded in the face of market volatility?
That's a very good question. I mean, obviously, if you're deciding to invest in Tesla, you look at its history, you look at its, what to expect in the future. It's a disruptive innovation company. So it's a company that is trying to create new technology that's going to be disrupting an existing legacy. What typically will happen in that kind of a business is that nothing happens for many months until that invention comes into fruition, which could take a really long time. So it's not one of those stocks that's going to all of a sudden, you can say next 6 months, this is what's going to happen to the stock. You don't know when it will happen. You have to have patience. And it's also because of that, they call it a high beta, which is it's such a very volatile stock that you should expect huge swings up and down. So my advice to investors who are considering to invest in Tesla is simply, this is not a stock to invest in if you need the money in a year or even 2 years. If you have a longer perspective, like 3 years, 5 years, then you do want to have a stock that is based on technology that could win and succeed, and then has the grade to have outsized growth over any other options. You know what I mean? So that's the goal with this company. It's not something that if you want a guaranteed 5-10% growth, then there's lots of options, right? Putting in the ETF, putting into Coca-Cola or things like that are very much more stable. This is not one of those companies.
That makes sense. And there are a lot of people I will see who say, oh, I just bought, I bought on this date and now I'm down. I can't tell you what's going to happen over a week, a month, 6 months, but I have a high conviction over the 5 to 10 year time frame. And that's what I'm looking at, because as you can tell, I've got the benefit of youth to preserve me in the
Yeah.
long run.
Yeah.
And that is important. So, in terms of short-term volatility, another thing I would say to those people, and I'd like your feedback on it, is if the stock only went up and at a rate that you would have liked 5 years ago, would you even be able to afford the stock today? And would you even buy it today?
Oh, okay. That question, which is like so the answer to that is very interesting. If you notice what has happened in the last 12 years, and if I look back to what I did with, let's say, Apple and other people investing in Apple, every time you bought that stock, it's always been at an all-time high at the time, right? Right? And then at some point, of course, it becomes really low compared to where it is today, like embarrassing low. But at the time, it was considered an all-time high. So the more appropriate way to look at it is not the price of a stock, right? It's the value of the company and where you think it could go in the future. And that's why I invest in my thesis, basically, right, is invest in companies that are in my personal thesis. So everybody can have different theses. They can have their own, what they're interested in and what they think is the right approach. For me, as I look for the market first, which companies are addressing the largest markets that are growing big, right? So for me, the larger the market, the bigger the growth, the bigger the time that there's a disruption happening, that's the opportunity that I like to come in. It reduces your risk.
Yeah, if it's too narrow.
So if you go down the list of the largest markets out there, go down that list. What are the most important markets? It so happens that Tesla and the reason I'm investing in Tesla is that it's addressing like four of the largest markets ever. The single largest market that's out there right now is labor. And with artificial labor coming in with robots, it's addressing the $44 trillion labor market. Is there a humanoid market? Well, we don't know if that's the case, but if it does happen, it's going to disrupt that, and it's one of the largest. The second one is, let's say, energy. The third one could be cars. And fourth one, some people think is pharmaceuticals or something like that. Now, Tesla's not doing that. But if you go down AI, electric vehicles disrupting gas cars,
Grid
energy,
energy.
right? And you've got robots, that is four of the top, at least within the top 10 of the largest markets that are growing. If you enter into a market that is growing and you are one of the players, there is a really good chance that even if you're a mediocre company, you'll still succeed because the market is so wide and open. Now, what happens is there's so many competition out there that jumps in. And so there will be quite a bloodbath. There will be companies that die, that don't make it, even in, let's say, an electric vehicle that's a wide market. So you have to be very, very careful picking that. The reason I choose Tesla is it's like why I chose Apple at the same time. It's like at the same time, you're picking this Mag 7 company, but they act like a startup and their financials are amazing, right? They have $30 billion of cash on hand. Same thing with Apple. So much cash on hand that, if the market turns, if they don't have the great product, they have a way to still survive, to be able to come back and win. They're not, by the way, I do invest in startups. So I'm very comfortable, my risk level, that I can lose money if the company dies. But if you are not in that position, you need that money, you can't afford to lose it at all, then pick other companies. But the beauty of Tesla is that they're an innovation company. They're inventing things. And their electric vehicle, and you can see it now, you can compare it to all the other cars. It is one of the best cars out there. And then the market is vastly growing. So that's going to grow. They're going to be one of the best. They're inventing autonomous driving. And then you compare that with others. And like this whole concept of, but Waymo is out there and all these Chinese out there. If you look at how big the market is, it doesn't matter if there are many competitors to that space. It doesn't mean that Tesla's not going to grow as a stock or as a company. Same thing with robotics. Like at first, when other Tesla investors heard that, there's Figure and there's Apptronic and there's all these Chinese bot companies, and they're like very defensive, saying, "Oh no, they suck and they're a fraud." Why do you take that position? Why does it matter to you? The market for humanoid robot is so massive. You can have 10, 20, 30 very successful humanoid robot companies, and they won't be in competition with Tesla for 10 years.
Right.
The market is so big. Yeah.
I had a friend in the 90s who bought into every cell phone stock. Right. And I said, they're not all going to succeed. He said, of course, but one or two or some or all, most.
Many. Yeah.
And it doesn't matter if some of them fail because the entire market is going to grow.
Exactly.
And if I own the entire market, little chunks of the entire market, I will be on board with the winner. Yeah. So you've interviewed CEOs, business leaders, engineers, astronauts, one of them anyway. Mm-hmm. You're in an elevator, you get to ask Elon one question. What are you asking?
I did have this chance. I was at Giga Texas at a party, and I was just joking around that day. If I did meet Elon, what question would I ask him? And at the time, this was 2-3 years ago now, and I actually did ask him this question. Like it just so happened I was able to get into the secret after party, and I asked him the question. So I said, for Elon, it's all about first principles. And I asked him, are you going to solve world hunger? Right? Because in my mind, I know that he's already made comments about it, and he's always thinking big. And what's the next big thing he's going to do? And he answered in saying the thing he's always said, right? Which is there's no caloric deficit. So the issue is not that there's not enough food. It's about how to get the food to the right place, right time. I asked the same. And so I said, what is the first principles thinking of how to solve that problem is the question I asked him, not are you going to get into it? I asked Kimball, his brother, are you and your brother going to get it? And he said, yes. So for Elon, it's always, I think, what I want to know his first principle thinking of how to solve a major problem. and trying to guess what is the next major industry that they're going to get into. So I think that that the other thing to think about Tesla too is that people go, "Oh, have you seen the auto market? What's that going to do in the next 2 years? What about the energy market? What about
Mhm.
the robot market? What about the autonomous market?" And then they go, "See, it's a bad future because they're not going to solve these and everything." Well, what makes you think that they're not going to get into yet another market? Every two
Mhm.
to 3 years, Tesla creates yet another market. Why? Because that's what they are. They're an innovation company. They create products that solves disruption that are disruptive to industries. So I would not be, and I've been saying this. I believe that they're going to get into energy generation because it's one of the three pillars of Master Plan Part Three that Tesla's not in. I mean, they were doing solar roofs and then they backed out of it because they couldn't make that profitable. But they're going to create solar farms. They're going to get some way into some sort of he's and now you see him this week talking a lot more about how do I get 1 terawatt of power because I need it for my
Interestingly,
compute. Mhm.
interestingly, power is being disrupted. Automotive is being disrupted. But what people are overlooking is it's Tesla disrupting them.
Yeah.
They are the disrupting force. They are the ones making it happen. So, yeah. And so I guess if you had the opportunity again, your next question would be, if I'm hearing it correctly, hey, you remember me?
Yeah. I'd be asking about what is the first principles way of solving energy generation. And so,
Mm,
he's already thinking about it, right? So I'd be curious, is he thinking solar farm? Is he thinking Dyson sphere around the sun, right? Space? Is he thinking, what
fission,
is his,
fusion, what is it?
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. So you've worked as a product manager, as a UX advocate, designer, what have you. What one feature would you recommend Tesla add to their vehicles?
I mean, I've been waiting for a long time for Grok.
Hmm.
I think that AI, your relationship with your vehicle, which is they keep calling it a bot on wheels. Right now, it's a great car. It's the best car I've ever owned, right? Less maintenance. It drives like so smooth and enjoyable. I'm not driving it anymore. It's driving me. That's all transformative. But imagine when it's an actual personality. It's an actual AI that can not only just ask questions and answer questions, which I can do today with Grok and ChatGPT, but it controls the car. It gives me guidance as I'm going on my trips. I think that could be really transformative, and it changes your relationship. It's no longer just an asset that you own. It could become a personality, a friend, something that is really going to help you in many more ways than you can even imagine. Entertainment, telling you information as you're driving around, just or doing things agentically, right? It can actually order things for you as it takes you to whatever restaurant you are. It can pre-order ahead of time. It can show you the menus, things like that. So it's just completely will change. I think about my, people used to bug me, Herbie the Love Bug, right?
Hmm.
And then Kit,
Hmm.
right? These in the old TV shows where the car is got a personality and it's alive. That's where we are.
My theory is that Herbie probably had a voice, but the car just didn't come with a radio. So poor guy's stuck quiet. How do you cut through the noise? There's a lot of noise when it comes
Yeah.
to Tesla nonsense. How do you cut? What's your strategy to cut through the noise and find the signal when it comes to the
Mm,
news about Tesla, apart from watching my channel?
gosh. Yeah, that's so hard answer, but you kind of just touched on it, right? So what do I do today? What is my job today? I'm a host. And my host by interviewing, my channel is 100% interview channel. I
Mm,
don't think I've actually done maybe a handful of shows where it's just me. I'm
mm,
here to find the experts, talk to those experts, hear different voices, hear different answers. And the beautiful thing about the Tesla retail community is you've got experts and everything. If you want an accountant to find out the stock sales implication, let's talk to the accountant. The lawyer, let's talk to the guy who's, built factories before. You do this all the time as well. So you know what I'm talking about. We interview people. And that's
mhm,
how we get through the noise and get to the
mhm.
facts. And then you kind of evaluate what do you think is true. The hard part today is we don't know what is true anymore. It's so hard to know what is real and what's not real. So whenever I see something, I pause and I don't know. if that's true. I don't know if the article is saying things that are correct, if those are truly facts or not. I need to find out more and then at some point make a call on it. But yeah, the only way is to dig in and research and to ask experts.
That's wild stuff. Guys, if you're not following Herbert, please do. Hey, double check you're subscribed, pretty please. I know a lot of folks who thought they were subscribed, found out they weren't, or that they had been unsubscribed. Tremendously helpful. Appreciate it. Guys, head over to Herbert's channel, find out what he's up to. I'm over there twice a week. I've been getting comments this week saying that they really love our collaborations and they want more. And I'm like, we do over 100 a year. I don't know what to tell you. We'll work on it. So everybody else, stay tuned, stay juicy, and I cannot wait to hear from you, clever robots on the flippity flop.